I'm making this video because I've realized that my dreams are dead. That probably sounds overly dramatic to a lot of people, but once you hear what I've been going through, I think you'll understand how painful life can be for someone in my situation. I have lived my life over 30 years now with very simple ambitions. All I really want out of life is to have a decent job where I make, a moderate amount of money, allows me to live, right? And then at some point meet a person, preferably a woman that I'd like to settle down with, and have a relationship with. And if that sounds awkward the way I just worded those last few sentences, it's because that's my whole problem. I can't speak like a normal human being. I've tried. I've tried everything from improv to stimulants. None of it works. I have this strange quality about me that I can't just go up to somebody and describe the plot of my favorite show. I will stumble and fuck up at it. You want proof? Okay. Dragon Ball Z is a show about a guy named Goku who is a Saiyan, and Saiyans are this warrior race from outer space that previously conquered planets, but Goku hit his head as a kid, so he fights for the side of Earth. And at the beginning of the series, he has to fight his brother, Raditz, and defeats him, which ends up alerting the other Saiyans to come to Earth. Like I can keep going, and then they come to Earth, and all Goku's friends train, and Goku comes back to life at the end of the season and saves the day, and they all fight. Okay, that was me describing Dragon Ball Z. That was not me describing the Saiyan saga of Dragon Ball Z. That was not me describing Goku's character. That was me trying to describe Dragon Ball Z. That is how all of my explanations go. Did that make sense to you? Did that feel easy to follow? Did that feel like it followed the premise? Because I don't. That has been my whole life, is just being unable to explain things, which, sounds like it's pretty harmless, right? I can't explain things. Well, I can have somebody do that for me, or I can, do that through written communication. No, it's fucking horrible, because what is another dimension of life where you have to explain things? Arguing, which is really important if you're going to have any sort of job, where you need to deal with people, because now all of a sudden you can't just you can't just argue against people. Someone comes at you with a bunch of complaints, and I freeze up. I can't tell them, I can't tell them the facts of my situation. Maybe if I have prepared ahead of time, but the moment I'm getting caught on the spot, I can't respond to people. And you already know where I'm going with this. The one part of life where this is more depressing than any other is in romantic relationships. How the hell am I supposed to have any kind of relationship, man, woman, otherwise, if I can't argue with my partner? If I can't sit them down and have an honest talk with them about the grievances I have in our relationship, and then when they rebut to me about the things I did, I just sit there and I can't think of anything to throw back at them. I even if there is stuff like that I could argue back, my brain will not retrieve that information. And over time, what that turns into is me nodding my head, saying yes, and getting fucking plowed in whatever arena I'm in. That is what I'm faced with. When you have that kind of issue, it is impossible to interact effectively. I have friends that I believe have sort of adapted to my communication style, or maybe they You know, maybe they know that I have these weird idiosyncrasies, and they play along. But when it comes to any sort of serious relationship, I can't deliver. And there's another side to this too, where it's not just arguments. This isn't just like I can't argue. It's literally like I cannot talk on the spot for shit. I can't form sentences out of nowhere. Everything that I say is a script. It's all something I've already had to say in my head, like before I can actually out and say it, or it is word associated from the thing I previously said. I know this sounds crazy, but like this is how my brain operates. I'm trying to have doctors look into this, but just from just from going online and looking this up, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever the fuck, the outlook doesn't look good. It looks like this is some sort of neurological developmental disorder that I'm gonna have to live the entirety of my life with. There are little interventions you can do, like speech language pathology, or maybe like some sort of like TMS, trans magnetic mic whatever stimulation. There are like interventions, right? But I don't think any of them are actually going to fix the core issue here. I think the core issue is that my brain got fucked up when I was born, and now I have to live this horrible fucking life. Not to sound like overly arrogant or anything, but before I realized all this, I thought I was doing pretty good. I had a decent job, I'm not a bad looking dude. I feel like my interests are pretty well balanced, maybe a bit on the nerdy side, but I didn't think I was doing any better or worse than anyone else. I thought I was average and that I was going to be okay, but now I feel broken. I wake up every day knowing that things aren't going to get better. And I've, at this point, developed a phobia of other people because everyone else seems to be able to function so harmoniously in this world where they have a conversation and they're able to just riff off of each other with no effort. And I can't do that. And what's worse is that it's an invisible disability. I'm sure that the people listening to this hear my voice and think, oh wow, well when he speaks he's actually pretty articulate. He's putting together words in coherent sentences. What's the issue? And that's the exact thing. It's so well disguised by the skills I've learned to compensate. But when it really comes down to it, people hear my voice, and then once I start pausing and I start adding filler words like they figure it out. They figure out that there's something off about this guy. Or they truly figure out that there's just not as much going through my head as the person next to me. And it's not for lack of trying. I've been trying my whole life just to appear more intelligent, just to beat this thing and unlock my brain's potential, and it's just not happening. It's not happening. And I'm at a point now where I'm prepared to just live a life of isolation. I'm probably going to lose my job soon because I can't handle this reality that I'm living in. I'm so scared. I'm terrified of the future because I don't know. In my current state, I don't feel like I'm able to fit into this society. And I'm so scared of what's lined up for me. I don't know if anybody else deals with this, but it is the most horrible thing that a human being... No, that's making my issue way too big. There are far more horrible things out in the world, I'm sure. I could be quadriplegic or missing certain senses. For me to say that my issue is the worst thing in the world, that's internal, like, exaggerated, just catastrophizing, but it doesn't feel good. And I don't know if anybody out there can help me, but if you hear the story and maybe you're down a similar road, or you're just curious about what it's like to be like this, please respond, leave a comment. I'd love to talk to you, because I'm really just not confident about my future, and I just don't know what it's going to look like. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble. I hope you all have a great day, night, whatever. Yeah, take care.